All right, hello there, welcome back to another wee bit different video. Today's video, I want to give my honest thoughts into the NBA All-Star Game and their new format. Honestly, I think there's a lot of positives to take away. I think the biggest negative, and you know what, just to sum it up, let's just sum it up all together. It's a phenomenal idea with the poor execution. And my reason behind it is, look, the 4 teams idea, you know, the 2 teams competing and then the other 2 teams competing, go on to the finals, all of that great. Rising Stars, I think that was a great idea as well. My biggest gripe about all of this is, look, they started this thing at 5:30 was the scheduled start time. And, you know, all games going to 40 points. Considering the players there, obviously getting to 40 is not going to be a problem. And it felt like the NBA really just tried to make this 2 hours as much as they could with the dragging out of these moments, the performances, and I just don't really understand the thought process behind that, because they made it way less about basketball and more about theater, it felt like, for a lot of this. Now, when the games were going, for one, let me just get this out of the way. I think Draymond Green is giving horrible takes on Inside the NBA. I despised it. We got Oscar Robertson on Draymond saying NBA games are boring, and this isn't necessarily what Draymond was talking about in terms of the Rising Stars, but Draymond was just talking out of his ass, which was pissing me off, a lot of viewers off, because the thing about the NBA right now, and you know, the whole discussion of the ratings, is I really think a big leader in what's killing it is the media. NBA media is like one of the only medias where we actively just shit on the players and we shit on the league itself, which to me is just ridiculous. I mean, Draymond was talking shit about all these all-star rising stars. You know, he's talking about Dalton Connect, and I really just found it annoying and obnoxious. And it's like the jealousy, if that's the case, or maybe it's the dick riding with specifically maybe just Steph. Like, I can't pinpoint to what his deal is, but let's just watch this clip real quick.
Draymond said so much, you know, who cares what Draymond says? It doesn't mean anything. You know, people, this is what I mean, you know, I mean, one guy can say this and one guy can say that. The game is what it is. People either like the game or they don't, and I think people enjoy the game, especially if their team can win. And you look at the basketball, it might be boring to him, because if he's not passing the ball to Curry, what is he doing?
I agree. Triple single is
not to single that out, because I think he knows how to play basketball, but he passes the ball to Curry more than anyone I've ever seen in basketball. And so it means a lot. So,
listen, not to take away from Draymond and his individual play, but these takes and the way he is just talking down on a lot of what was going on this All-Star event, it was frustrating. I mean, this Rising Stars team really made it competitive, and I appreciated the heavy defense that was being played by these guys. I mean, Keontae George at the end of the game was trying to lock up Curry and get on his grill, and it was entertaining. I genuinely had fun. And of course, when it goes to the 2, you know, teams that are just only all-star players, it was a bit lackluster in the end with the defense. So I think that they have something there with the Rising Stars. I'm not sure they go back to this format next year, which is unfortunate, because again, I think there is something here. I think there needs to be tweaks. My tweaks, what would be necessary is, instead of 40 points, you put it to 50. You take away the long drawn out, you know, in between and even during the game with the whole giving the flowers. I mean, that's great, but it's got to be done before or after the game. It can't be done during the game, because then these players are just having to sit out and just watch. And I don't think the players necessarily have a problem with it, but just to keep fan retention and just to keep everyone looking. But goddamn, bro, I just can't stress this enough. These Rising Stars players deserve a chance to prove themselves. Now, you could argue, well, they should just do it during the regular season to prove themselves. And I totally agree with you. For a first-year player or second-year player to come up and then to win the first tournament, you know what I mean? It's not like they just said, oh, you know, these players come up and that's it. No, they got to win the first tournament, and then to make these older guys, you know, compete. Because they did. They actually, you could see that they locked in the end there. They were not going to lose to the Rising Stars. And that, to me, is so important, because it's entertaining for a fan. And if you're one of the super hard, just like, oh, you know, I agree with Draymond, this is so stupid, this is a 0. Dude, the only reason why the Rising Stars are even there is because the lack of effort. Things have gone so bad with the effort that they said, well, we got to get some young bucks in here who are hungry. And we know that these veterans don't want to lose to the young bucks. So they're going to try and make sure they're not going to lose to it. And that's exactly what we saw. The presentation sucked. The idea was great. If you're one of those people who's a Pistons fan and you wanted to see more of Cade Cunningham, I understand your frustration with the format, and that would be valid. That would make a perfect sense, perfect argument to be had against why the format itself isn't that great. But again, we got to see talent all across the board. We got to see guys giving a bit more juice than in years past. And to me, that's a good trade-off to have. And if that player, if a Cade Cunningham player wants, to have more time to shine, then win the first round. You know what I mean? Like, if those players really want their time to shine, win the first round. It's really as simple as that. Win and you get that time. Now, it's not always just on one player, because as you can see, Wemby tried really hard. But Wemby at least got to the second round because, let's be honest, he did give a lot of effort in that first round. And even in the second round, he gave a lot of effort, which you can appreciate. Poor execution, the ads, too much in between, during. It's just not ideal at all, especially if you're a basketball fan. But I can't stress this enough. People like Draymond Green can just... I have so much I want to say, but does it really matter? Is it going to change anything? People, for us at home, we love the sport of basketball. We want to watch these guys, the best players, compete. So compete, you know what I mean? You're not going to compete. Don't be mad when these young bucks are coming up and they're hungry and they're ready and they want to compete. You know what I mean? Continue. Please continue to do stuff like that first game where people were playing a bit more defense. Now, was it NBA Finals? Was it NBA playoffs? Was it NBA play-in effort? No, you're not going to get that. But you do get some flashy moments like Kyrie and Wemby, that one-on-one. That was phenomenal, even though Kyrie missed a shot. It's those kind of things you want to see. It's entertaining. As a huge fan of the game, I literally dedicate this channel to basketball and football now. Huge fan of the game. I do film rooms. It brings me joy to see things like that. And so for you at home, you're watching, you're like, I want to see that. That's something I want to see. So ultimately, if they could just increase from 40 to 50 points, and then they take away some of the long drawn out theatrics during the event, that would go a long way. If they can take away Draymond from inside the NBA, I mean, thank God they're not doing TNT next year, because for one, also Kevin Hart, I mean, I do find him funny at times, but I think it was a bit excessive, with the whole centers, stop shooting threes, and it just felt like we knew he was playing a character, but it got a bit overdone. In my opinion, other people might disagree with that, and that's totally okay, but in my opinion, it got a bit overdone. I think we took away the focus of basketball and, again, made it theater. Even with the Inside the NBA guys, they were bickering on the mic, on the broadcast during the game. Like, let's talk about basketball. Reggie Miller does a fantastic job. I mean, just keep it on basketball. Let's talk about basketball. Do I think this will come back next year? Probably not, just because the NBA is always switching shit up, and who knows how that's going to go. But if they did, I really think they do have something there and continue to keep the rising stars. If Draymond's going to throw a little hissy fit, I mean, it is what it is, bro. It is what it is. Like, this is the way it is because of the lack of effort. And it's, a shame on him that he's going to be talking shit about those young players like that are coming up trying to prove something. And they're not the ones that made the rules. They're the ones that are just trying to go after it. So you're going to badmouth Dalton Knecht for not getting traded properly like that. It's disgusting. It's horrible. I think it's bad for the game. This isn't even me like being a whole sensitive thing. I think this is me just really, really pushing towards a better basketball community, and people like Stephen A, people like Kendrick Perkins, people like Skip Bayless, and now Draymond apparently are like, they're killing the game. They're really making it worse because it's not about basketball anymore. It's about theater. It's about themselves. Let me know what you guys think, though. I think this is, again, something that they can build off of. I'm not sure that they entirely will. My hope, this is a huge hope because you never know, I guess, but is they really cool it on theatrics and let's focus on basketball. You know, that Mr. Beast challenge, that was cool, you know what I mean? Because it was still basketball focused, you know what I mean? You're not really taking away from it. Everything else was not basketball focused, but even the Mr. Beast thing, you know, the 100K for hitting that shot, it's still focused on basketball. That's my biggest thing, is let's not lose sight of what the fans want. And if you guys disagree with me, then feel free to let me know. My biggest thing is trying to evolve the game and trying to appreciate the game and trying to appreciate the players in front of us while we can. As always, don't feel free to like and subscribe. Those are my honest thoughts on the All-Star game. As always, I greatly appreciate you guys for watching. This is Ollie Been Different. We've been different. And we out.